The Celtic Exchange, a fresh insight on Celtic Football Club.
Kyogo Furuhashi is finally back amongst the goals as he and Jota inspired Celtic to a vital 2-0 win against Ross County in the Highlands. The result takes us a massive step closer to reclaiming the Scottish Premiership title at the first time of asking, with now just 4 league games remaining. This is episode 66 of the Celtic Exchange Weekly. This is Tino, and this week I'm joined by Miff and James to cover all things Celtic. Miff, do you want to get your wee Greg Taylor bit in just now, or do you want to wait till a wee bit later on in the show?
Hello Tino, hello James, hello guys. I'll leave that to you. Tino is the host of the most. Just very pleasing to get the points in the bag. Absolutely no doubt, given the events of last week and then Rangers subsequently winning with 10 men, there was a lot of noise. A lot of noise that by the end of the game yesterday, Sunday, was extinguished. And I think that's just what had to be done. I think it says a lot about the mentality of the team. They're able to shut everything out and just get the job done. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think it was won at all costs on Sunday, James. It was, performance is a bonus, but huge result on the day, wasn't it?
It was, but it was professional from start to finish. There was no panic. They played their own game. They weren't fazed by any occasion, any outside noise. It shows you the outside noise, whatever it is, isn't getting into this team at all. Whether they're blocking it out or they're just not seeing it, they're not fazed by it at all. They did their job and got the 3 points.
Yeah, I think we spoke last week about Ange just keeping the noise away from the team and just kind of keeping it in-house.
And the noise comes in many forms. It can be the press, or it can be fireworks outside a soundproofed hotel.
Aye, dangerous.
Apparently. But as you say, Miff, it was an interesting week in the media just in terms of the general build-up. Some of the usual suspects doing the rounds, and rumours are not rumours, but headlines about helicopter Sundays, and the pressure's all on Celtic. Different narratives as well. Banana skin, Ross County only 1 loss in 11, Charles Regan Cook top scorer. All the pressure on Celtic, but they just got on with their business, didn't they?
They did, and I think if you look back on that first goal, there's a lot to like about it in terms of McGregor's pass, Jota dropping the shoulder, and then, dare I say, a Larsson-esque header for a Hashi in the way that he's hung in the air and bulleted it in. So, yeah, I think it came at the right time, early in the game, and I think after that we really put our stamp on the game. Unfortunately, those, as we'll go on to discuss, not taking those chances made it probably a bit more fraught than it had to be. I've seen the BBC taking a hefty amount of stick for describing the victory as nervy, but yeah, I think the second half until the goal probably is nervy purely for the point of view you haven't put the game to bed.
There's some mistake.
It's not nervy in the sense that you're under loads of pressure for County. It's just that until you get the second goal, it's not done.
Yeah, it wasn't what you would describe as a typical nervy win, it was like fraught and we just got it kind of thing. But it's one you've got two opinions on this. You get what you think, and then if the media says, like I said to you yesterday after the game, I said, it was a potential banana skin. Stephen Thompson said it in sports, and I was like, outrageous. How dare you?
How dare he?
We'll say it, but you won't.
I'll decide what's nervy, BBC. You're right, but I think the more interesting point about that in general, though, is the different narratives when Rangers get their win and when Celtic get their win. You just match up the headlines, and it's Rangers take a huge 3-step closer to Celtic, and then it's Celtic win nervy. It seems to be different stuff at play, but we'll not moan about that. We'll moan about that another week. As Miff says, James, really good first half. Really intense, really dominating. Stats wise, 76% possession, 11 goal attempts v1 from Ross County, 6 corners. Were you impressed with that opening 45, the general tempo and intensity?
Yeah, I mean, they should have been 4-5 up at half time. Let's not be kidding ourselves. And I don't think it was even terrible finishing. It was just moves that didn't come off, like Maeda's one, Kyogo could have had 3. There was others as well. I thought they were just linking and flowing well together. And if they'd got that same level of performance in the second half, it would have been a much more comfy 3-4-0.
Yeah, I bet Kyogo to score a hat-trick, Miff.
Did you?
It did not work out for me.
Well, you were in with a shout, son. I thought the highlight of the first half for me was the wee glimmer of the link-up play between Maeda and Furuhashi. There was more than a few occasions they were looking for each other, and it seemed to be almost a telepathic understanding. So Maeda's touch generally seems to be the issue. It seems to run a wee bit too far away from him at times. Other times he controls it, but he's one of those players, much like Maeda as well, get a tendency when they're in full flow just to take a bit of a dodgy touch. But overall, probably been a bit harsh. I mean, Kyogo should be burying the one that the keeper spilled Also, the one I thought was a great chance, the one that Maeda's kind of cut back to him inside the box. He skied it over the bar. I think if he's just, a bit of technique and he's scoring that, he seemed to kind of thrash at it. But overall, listen, I'm not going to dwell too much in the negatives. I think the game was all about mentality, the mentality that we showed. I think the most pleasing thing for me as a fan, you're wondering what the mindset is of the team. That there was no change in tempo, there was no change in the way they went about their business. I thought Carter Vickers in particular was really, really solid. Starfelt for the most part was solid, and I know you've mentioned Taylor, but I do think it's worth mentioning that he kept Regan Charles-Cook really quiet, but also I think what he's often pilloried for is his use of the ball. And I thought yesterday in a tight park when space was at a premium, he did generally use the ball pretty well. Obviously still there was times he was put under pressure, but it's going to happen with the way that we play. We do ask a lot of our fullbacks, but I thought in particular he stood up to the challenge that he faced yesterday really well. They're physical, they look to try and get the ball in behind quickly, or playing off the kind of big guys that they've got up front. Taylor clearly gets targeted for that, but he finds ways to handle it. And I mentioned for that should also go to Starfelt as well, because Starfelt's always quick to come over and cover him for the switch.
What about the one Taylor ballooned over the bar for 35 yards?
Great effort, I thought.
Get carried a bit.
Keeper dived.
Got excited.
Keeper dived. Had to make sure he had it covered.
I think because he scored last week, he thought, that's me a goal scorer now.
He had a chance to shoot just before that, and he carried the ball in and played it wide. So I think he thought, I'm in hot form. I need to go for it.
Aye. So Ange was asked about the mentality coming into this game after no doubt a disappointing result at Hampden. It was suggested to him that Celtic's momentum had been halted, so he replied, "We never lost momentum. We lost a cup semi-final in extra time. We've been very good for a very long time, and that's why we sit where we sit." And he's right, isn't it? We spoke last week about panic stations and knee-jerk reactions, and you just know that Ange was saying, yep, it's disappointing, but it's one game, it's one result. We don't change our approach for anybody.
Yeah, your league form doesn't get disrupted by knockout football. There's two totally different things. Knockout can go against you as it did at Hampden that Sunday. So he's just kept the feet in the ground, nice level heads, and sent them out to do the job that they know they can do, and we did. Yeah.
League form, James, I'm sure you've heard that in the last 24 hours, but of Celtic's last 28 league games, we've now won 24, drawn 4, lost 0. Title winning form, they call it, Muff. Jota's goal via Ross County was our 125th goal of the season, impressive in itself. It was also interestingly the 12th league goal we've scored in the final 10 minutes of games, and that's so important, isn't it? We're going about the now cliche of we never stop, but it is so important to get these crucial goals. You can talk about Abada's late winner and a variety of others across the season, but they stack up and they play such an important part,
especially when you've got media commentators telling us that we tire in the last 10 minutes. Where all the goals coming from then? Mm-hmm. If anyone fancies doing a league table between November and February, that'd be interesting. That's where Ferguson says league titles are won, and that's when we really hit our form in that period, and we're just carrying it on.
So I don't have a league table between November and February, but I do have the wee mini table you might have seen. So it's the top 6. Yeah. So Celtic's results against the other top 6 clubs. Celtic, they've all now played 16. Celtic have won 13 of them, drawn 1 and lost 2. Goals for 32, goals against just 7, and points 40.
Should be noted the 2 defeats came in, I think, the first 3-4 league games.
Yeah, it'd be Rangers and Hearts in the first, whatever it was. Rangers are our next closest. Of the 16 they've played, they've only won 8. So we've won 13, they've won 8. They've drawn 5 and they've lost 3.
What points are they on?
They're on 29, so it's out of a possible 48. We've got 40 or 48, Rangers have got 29.
Big.
So it's little wonder, and it certainly dispels the narrative as well that they've somehow kind of we've stolen this league.
I love that.
And how dare we?
I mean, keep that going as long as you can.
It's been a very different narrative, very different noise last 24 hours, hasn't it?
They told us they're going to be wearing kangaroo suits at Halloween.
And you'd be sacked with Christmas, Smith.
I think it's just one of those ones where when you're hurt, you lash out. And I think Rangers fans just have not seen this. They've been in complete denial of what's happening in front of them, and sometimes it's hard to admit that the feelings are closer to home, which they are on their part, because they've just not handled the relentless pressure that we've put on. And you can say what you want about whatever side you're on when you support Celtic, when you support Rangers. The facts are there for everyone to see. Celtic have maintained a really, really high level. And Rangers just haven't been able to match it. Now, they've had their own troubles to seek, change a manager, and a fairly appalling January transfer window, but that's there. choice as a club to do what they've done. It's come back to bite them. By the same token, at that, the decisions Celtic have made in the summer have just paid off so handsomely. It's unbelievable. I mean, you mentioned there the quote for Ange. He is just such an exceptional figurehead, and someone who gets it. And when you say that, not just about the football that we play, he just gets the whole thing. How he communicates with the fans, how the players communicate, and act together. They are very much a team together. It's so important. Even the lone guys seem to be a huge part of that, and you can tell that it's just, they're just as one. It was so important for us to display that after last season and give us a team that the fans could have faith in again. We would have all been happy just challenging this year, but to do what we've done and put the run together that we have, nobody could really have seen it coming. Nobody could have seen that coming, and least of all, Rangers.
Exactly that. I think it's caught them by surprise, and it's great. It's good to see.
I must say I'm extremely happy.
Yeah, you look at
I like to try and keep myself remotely professional as I can.
I hear you. Let's take a look at Kyogo Furuhashi. So that was his first start since the St Johnstone game on Boxing Day, and obviously his first goal. He was delighted as well. You seen the real buzz about him. That's his 17th goal of the season. The goal in itself, Miff, as you touched on at the top of the show there, it is a brilliant goal. The zip out to Jota from Callum McGregor, exceptional, just a really crisp pass. Don't downplay the importance of Tony Ralston's run as well. So he overlaps on the right hand side and actually takes two Ross County defenders with him. Foolish, because Giakoumakis, the big centre half, is one of them. What he's doing trying to get there is beyond me, and it leaves Kyoto just to find his feet and curl in what has been described as a striker's dream. It is perfect, but he's still got, Kyogo in the box. I've checked the details. 5'7" Kyogo versus 6'1" Keith Watson, but he just positions himself perfectly. If you watch the highlights, there's an angle that shows Kyogo just before Jota swings it in. He glances behind himself, maybe A, to check offside, and B, check where the other defender is, and he just positions himself perfectly, and it's a brilliant goal.
It really is, and that's, we've not been missing it because Giakoumakis has picked up the baton kind of thing, but it's just lovely to see that football intelligence, that the movement. And Matthew touched on it earlier, the movement between Maeda and Kyogo as well, that they're interlinking, they're making different runs when they see the other ones going to a different position. But for that particular goal, it was just that awareness, and it's only a glance he needs, and it is, the talk of Larsson stuff, the similarity that people are looking at is Larsson's awareness of where he was and who was around him and where he needed to be is what got him so many goals and sublime talent. And Kyogo's got that awareness. It's huge. I
think as well, it's no coincidence that you start to see an almost immediate uplift in Jota. Jota was exceptional at Ross County, and they two linked up so well in the early part of the season. Now, you can't blame Kyogo missing for some of Jota's poorer form, and he wasn't great against Rangers the previous week. But these early calls last week about Jota will need to go, he's not good enough, he doesn't have the heart for it. He's played such an important part in this season for us. Late goals against Ross County, very important. Late goal against Aberdeen, I think in October, really crucial. 2 other goals up at Pittodrie beyond that. He's been such a big player for us, and I think guys like him and O'Reilly and Maeda that you've mentioned there, they're going to thrive on playing with Kyogo.
Absolutely. The one overriding thing for me is I just think we've got ourselves an absolute superstar, and I know that might seem like a very obvious statement, but I mean, not just a kind of Johnny come lately type that will be away in 18 months. I think we've got a guy that we can really build a team around for the next 3 years. Just so exciting to see him back, and to see he brings a certain vibrancy to the team. Not that to discount the work that Giakoumakis and Maeda have done in his absence, because I think when we look back, the signing of Maeda and the emergence of Giakoumakis later in the season, it seems like when required, different players have stepped up to the plate when we've really needed them to, whether it be Hart when he's come in, Juranovic and Ralston when they've had to dovetail, Taylor himself, taking on what would be a new role for him, Starfelt and Carter Vickers forming a partnership which has been and Hart as well, you would include that being the foundation of the team. The way the midfield swapped around, every midfielder bar probably McCarthy and Iguchi have come in and played a role. It's just it's been a real genuine team effort, but the cherry on top is just that touch of class and Furuhashi coming back at such a vital stage. Regardless of how good a player you are yourself, whether you're playing fives, whether you're playing sevens, whether you're playing amateur, when your best player comes back into the team, it's all for everybody.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're right, James. Giakoumakis has been impressive in his own right, particularly since the turn of the year there, but you can't deny the different level and the different quality that Kyogo gives you.
No, there is a star quality that comes with him. He does have a bit of an aura, in terms of lifting other players, lifting the fans, lifting the whole
best
stadium. Aura best, aye. And I'm not saying Giakoumakis doesn't have he definitely has a presence, but there's just something special about Kyogo. Get it on record, huge Giakoumakis fan, and I think this is where we're going to be spoiled for the next, hopefully 2-3 years or more. We're going to constantly see Kyogo starting, Giakoumakis starting. It might depend on the opposition, the game, or how they're feeling, but you're going to see both of them at different times in the game. And I loved seeing the big man coming on yesterday as well.
Yeah, he's got a huge part to play as well. It's not just that he's a forgotten man all of a sudden. He will, even just in the short 4 games we've got left and beyond, he's got a huge part to play for Celtic.
Absolutely, and to the point where I'd seen a few accounts debating who do you start against Rangers. It's not a case of people feeling that Kyogo should automatically start. The debate is, would you start Giakoumakis on the basis of how well he's played against Rangers the past twice? It is actually possible you might see the team start against Rangers, but I think anyway, minus Jota. I think you might go Maeda
and Giakoumakis.
Furuhashi, Giakoumakis.
Well, I tell you what, young man, we're going to get to that a wee bit later on in the show. You've jumped the gun again,
and I'm going to debate that
again.
Where's that agenda? No. I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm just saying it could happen.
We'll get to all of that. We'll move on to that. Another thing that I thought was good, just a wee bit of fun, but you'll have seen Jota doing Kyogo's trademark celebration with him, the wee triangle
mushroom.
And it's just a wee, well, is it, that's
the haircut.
Nah, it's not the haircut. Do you know why they do the celebration?
Kyogo said that?
No.
He said it last week.
Why do you think they do the wee celebration?
You
don't know, and that's cool, right? So, for the YouTube viewers, this is a symbol for the number 8, not a wee guy underneath it, but this is a symbol for a number 8, and Kyogo started doing it when he got the number 8 shirt, and that's the whole reason behind it. What's the mushroom?
Kyogo said he had a mushroom haircut and he did a mushroom.
If you had a mushroom back in the day, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
How was it? Any evidence you can post on the socials?
Potentially. I won a dancing competition in Jersey at Pontins. I think I wowed the judges.
That's a spin-off show on its own, right?
I also won the pool competition as well.
We'll get to all of that in the mid-season break. We'll catch all of these interesting stories.
I think that's a bit of filler.
The point though I'm making about Jota and Kyogo, you'll have seen Juranovic, doing the wee celebration with Maeda at times as well. It just shows a real unity and a real team spirit. I know that's a small thing, but you see anytime somebody scores as well, they're all round them together. Every player to a man, sometimes including Joe Hart. There's just this real spirit in the team, and we spoke about, in earlier shows about how it's one thing signing all these talented players. You need to be doing something special behind the scenes in terms of your culture and just your whole ethos to make sure these guys can mould together.
Yeah.
And it's been so impressive.
We were talking close season, and I was very much of a scorched earth policy in the summer. Anyone who was there last year, kind of thing.
I can recall.
And you're like, James, you can't sign 12 guys and expect them all to knit together so quickly, and they did. So
but you wanted,
I think we're all.
You wanted 20 guys, it? McGregor, the cleaners. Take them.
Dear ladies a lot. Aye.
Rogic, he's done. Everybody.
Yeah.
As I say, we've got the tapes. We can check all of this. So
no, you don't need the tapes. I'm telling you, I said it right now. So nobody was right, is what I'm saying.
We were hurting, James. We were hurting. It was understandable, son.
Back to the football. So in terms of that second goal, obviously it's Jota that finishes off. He's shown real desire at the back post. He's shown an alertness. And again, you can't discredit the great touch that Abada took.
The only thing that he didn't when he came on, to be fair.
He was rotten, wasn't he?
Oh, jeez. Him and Turnbull were having a competition to see who was the most useless.
Yeah. Turnbull gets a pass mark coming back for injury. I'm not sure what Abada's recently lost his missus, apparently.
Flip with missus Abada. He's cut deep. The wee man's struggling.
Listen, hopefully that touch yesterday gets him back on track.
Yeah. But it was also just generally a clever throw-in, a clever routine they've worked on. So they've worked on something that gets Abada in that space. His first touch is great. Second touch just clips into the path of Giakoumakis, who does well just to get his body, round it and clips the bar.
Some save, actually. It's a fingertip onto the bar.
And then Jota just shows the reactions to get there ahead of the fullback. He was also delighted, wasn't he? You could see just the joy. He's not scored for a while. And he let off a bit of steam when he did, didn't he?
He did. I do. One of my favourite celebrations in football is the karate kick of the corner flag. Obviously not one I've been able to perform because I can't really get that high off the drum when I jump. But I do enjoy that. I do enjoy that celebration. What I also enjoy is Greg Taylor getting it allowed as well.
Oh, he was right there, wasn't
That's 2 weeks in a row. He has been
down the corner,
massively celebrating a goal down the corner. And again, I think it just highlights as well. You mentioned it's easy to look together as a team when you're winning. Of course it does. But if you think of, we were actually just talking about that before we come on. I was referencing back to when I went down to, or I took the boys to Newport when Celtic were training there pre-season, and Ange couldn't have been very long in the door by that. I mean, days. The team were training. The likes of Ayer, Christie, Edward were all still there. COVID was still very much at the forefront of what everybody was doing. Various different coaches taking different pool of players. I think they were going in 5s and 6s in different buses. It's from that the team has managed to gather together this team spirit. So in addition to the many new faces that have come in, the conditions originally in which you're trying to build a team wouldn't have been very easy at all. So I really do believe a lot of the credit has to go just to the sheer personality of the manager and the culture that he's created, but also the Whitman boys of last year, the likes of Stratton, Kennedy, have all been involved in that as well. And I don't think it's fair to give them stick last year and it's not going well, but then not give them any credit this year. They've obviously played their part as well, and I think you can see very subtly the way that Ange goes about things. He's very quick to give them credit too.
Yeah,
I think so. And I think in addition to that, Ange has clearly identified the guys who were already in the building that he had to rely on. So Callum McGregor being the obvious one and the most important one. But to the points you continue to make, Miff, Greg Taylor and Anthony Ralston, they were already here, and certainly Ralston, 1 foot out the door.
Probably both.
Taylor, looking like he was maybe going to be a bit part as well. And they've been as important, yesterday and all the way back throughout the season as any other players, because you can't just bring in the new guys and expect them to get it in terms of what playing for Celtic means. These guys already know, and they'll have played a huge part. I think Kyogo said that Ralston's one of his biggest pals in the team, for example. And there's that connection there because these guys have clearly played a part in welcoming all these new guys to the squad and integrating them and making them, a part of what Celtic is.
Yeah, there was a great interview with Ralston last week actually, and it's the part of the team spirit came out in that the way him and Juranovic work together, and it seems what Ange is setting up in that a fairly isolated position. You've only got a couple of left backs or right backs there, but no one is the right back. You are my right backs, and that's the kind of attitude to put into it rather than it's my position. And we can debate about who your own preference is and stuff like that, but the two of them both support each other in being the best they can be as right backs.
I think there was also I think it was after one of the European games, might have been the Ferencváros game, when Juranovic got interviewed, and he was very quick. I think he actually mentioned in his post-match interview the fact that Ralston was on the bench. We were without some big players, and he actually mentioned Ralston, which if you'd thought that would have happened at the start of the season, that the Croatian international right back would have been referencing.
Where's my Tony?
Tony Ralston. But I do think it's important, guys like Ralston, to go back to, it might give some of the listeners or viewers some shudders, but to go back to the Gordon Strachan kind of focus that had on good men, sometimes at the behest of them actually being good players, but good men. I think there is a wee element of that in Ange as well. It seems to be a certain type that he wants to have in the dressing room. And even somebody else I would give a shout out to as well, even though he's maybe not played as often, would be McCarthy. In terms of his experience, he obviously knows what Celtic's all about as well. I can only make the assumption that he's been doing his bit in the background because he's obviously not been doing a hell of a lot else on the park.
He's a time in his hands.
But he's obviously been brought in for a very particular reason. So it's just all gelled together so well, far better than any of us could have imagined. But to mention, I do like the wee sort of bromance with Kyogo and Ralston. You seen it in the League Cup final when Kyogo scored one of the goals. Ralston was right in the park as well, and you even see the wee interactions between them post match and that as well. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think you touched on an important part there, Miff, in terms of.
Well, I was throwing a lot of mud at the wall.
Something stick. I've got it.
Good.
It was the fact you mentioned about Ange signing the man. The personality, because I read quite an interesting article a couple of weeks ago about Paddy Roberts, and apparently Ange sounded him out. Ange spoke to him. Calm down. Ange spoke to him and basically didn't get the vibe that he was of the character he wanted. I don't know if he didn't have enough hunger. And I don't know if Patrick Roberts is a huge talent and he was great for Celtic, but career-wise, I don't know if he's maybe been happy to pick up a couple of checks rather than play a lot of football. I'm not entirely sure. Whatever it was, and I'll trust Ange's judgment on it.
Are you bad-mouthing Paddy Roberts?
That is correct. That's what's
the man, not the player.
Aye, player's great, player, the man. Sure, he's a lovely man as well.
First Celtic exchange walkout here.
But the bottom line,
I feel like I've been ambushed here, Tino.
But Ange's clearly had a word with him, and this isn't to discredit his character at all, but just he's just felt he's not quite the right character for what Ange was looking. I think Ange wants hungry guys. He wants young guys who have got a point to prove, who may well end up moving on in 2-3 years time or whatever. We might get the best out of them, and then they move on to pastures new. But he wants guys who are hungry for success right now. What's interesting actually about this Celtic squad and of all the new bodies that he signed, not a lot of them are league winners. I think Juranovic won the league out where he was. Carter Vickers and Starfelt haven't been winning league titles, and a variety of other guys. Don't know if Kyogo won the league even. I think Hatate won it the last couple of years. I don't know if Kyogo's won things. What he's got is guys that are hungry for success, and I'm not sure if maybe Patrick Roberts just didn't quite tick all the boxes. And that's the thing. It's not good enough just to be a good player for Ange. There needs to be a full package at play.
Yeah, but he said that kind of consistently throughout the season. He doesn't sign players, he signs people, because that's what they are, and it's the character he's looking for. And that maybe is the trick of gelling 12 players together, if you have a check on their character, first of all, because we could have signed, I've no doubt we were looking for left backs, but maybe didn't find someone that had that personality, that character that was going to come in and give a bit of challenge, but cover to Taylor. So you can see it through all the guys that are in the team, in the squad, that they've got that bit of Ange about them,
I think probably the prospective left backs have had a look at it and went,
I'm not going to get a game there, eh?
I'm going to shift him.
This is a close shop. Can I get him? What I do think's exciting as well, we've touched on it a wee bit in the last couple of weeks, is what's to follow. Got a job to do, a big job to do over the next 4 games, but we spoke about Abada briefly. Abada's stats are incredible. I think he's one of the league's top scorers on 10. I think Charles Regan-Cook's got 13 as the top scorer. He's got a bucket load of assists as well, but he is inconsistent, and I think yesterday almost summed him up. Done nothing, had some poor efforts, snatched at a couple of things, but played a key part in a goal.
Say that before, he just keeps going.
He doesn't get phased, eh?
Doesn't get phased, always shows up, always shows for the ball, and tries to make an effective contribution. And that, by the way, I was like, come on, be mad, because he was howling when he came on. He was bad.
That left foot.
And then he goes and does that, and you're like, that's it. That's what it's all about.
But this is the exciting thing, because he'll now have had a year in Ange's team. Give guys like him, Maeda, Hatate, O'Reilly a full pre-season with Ange Postecoglou, and imagine what's going to come of that.
Boys' holiday to find a new bird as well.
That's it. First.
Magaluf. Matt O'Reilly and Abada going to Magaluf.
Sign me up, lads. Sign me up.
But James, it could be really exciting.
If I need a hairy wingman.
Keep it clean. It could be exciting, James, just once you get these guys, and obviously we're going to make signings as well, so even Kyogo's been so impressive, but he'll benefit from more time under Ange, and it could be a exciting summer in itself in terms of who comes in, but it'd be great to see what how this team fully gels for version 2.0.
Yeah, I think in any of the last few seasons, getting a full summer would have been amazing for any of the squads, any of the managers, but in this particular time when we've got a relatively new manager, a fully new squad, and it's been non-stop 3 games a week for the whole time, until the last few weeks since we were out Europe kind of thing. To get that full stretch in the summer, the psyche, the ethos, the tiny quarter turn improvements in every single player's game, I think we will come out next year and blow everyone away.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Oh, you're in the paddy. You're in the paddy train, man, here.
I think it's that seat. Jeez. It brings out a wee bit of bravado and a bit of...
Season and a half, man.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm wrong?
Well, what I will say is I can't wait to see Hatate and O'Reilly in particular get a pre-season. I think it's very obvious that the two of them kind of need that, because I think you see for Rogic getting that, and working under Ange, there has been that improvement in his ability to last the full game, or certainly contribute more effectively for a longer period of time. I think that's what Hatate and O'Reilly are needing. It must have been hard for them to come in and try and get up to speed whilst playing games as well.
With a squad playing football at such a pace.
Exactly. So, I think it bodes really, really well. I'm just intrigued to see what areas we target and strengthen. And I imagine there'll be several going out the door. I mean, if you look at it from the point of view of those that aren't playing any particular part, that are on significant wages, like Barkas, Ajeti, ball and goalie.
Sorrow. Julian maybe comes into that gang.
I've always thought it.
Julian and probably McCarthy as well. I don't know if McCarthy.
There's a debate to be had in McCarthy, I suppose. What is the point? I think he's a great player.
If you accumulated them the wages, got them out,
there's a lot of signings to be made.
There's a fair amount that we can do there.
I'd keep McCarthy around. I think there's something to be done there.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of streamlining to be done, but I think in the meantime, he still kept that harmony, and that must be hard when you've got guys who are on the periphery. I think James McCarthy's a good example. He looks like a good teammate, despite the fact that he's not playing a lot of football, and I think with his experience, he's more often than not on the bench, but he seemed, to say he's quite happy to be there is the wrong term, because as a pro and a competitive pro,
he's biding his time.
He wants to play football, but I think it's clear that guys like him do continue to play a role and galvanise the team. Others that you've mentioned there, Miff, they'll move on, and I think that'll be right. But yeah, hugely exciting to see what happens in the summer. Moving on then, we can now cover the Rangers game if you want, Miff. I know you were jumping the gun earlier on. First of all, Andrew was speaking to Celtic TV after the game on Sunday, and he said, we've got another game next week, which I'm sure everyone's looking forward to. All we can do is keep playing our football and keep winning games. If we keep doing that, then for all of us, we'll get where we want to be. And this was, to the question, have you got one hand in the trophy type thing, and they're trying to put words in his mouth, and even though that's from the club channel, everyone's getting so excited about the potential of the title, but Ange isn't letting himself get carried away, is he?
No, and he never does. What you tend to find is, even in defeat last week, it doesn't tend to go too extreme either way. It tends to just be really, really focused, feet in the ground, and that is what helps us as fans, is that you can almost wait to hear from him, just to kind of reassure yourself. I know I certainly took a lot of comfort out of listening to him last week, because it was true, regardless of how poor we were perceived to have played. It took extra time. They get the 90 minutes finishes a draw, fairly unlucky not to hold on for the win, even though we had generally played well below the standard that we've set this season. That can happen. That's cup football, and as a small side note, it makes it all the more remarkable that we won 4 trebles in a row. It just shows you the level you have to be at in order to do that. So, but that the whole Ange effect covers many things, not just the style of play, but also the man himself and how he conducts himself and the things that he says at the right time. It's important for us as fans. Celtic fans are, I would say, pretty highly strung and relentless in terms of desire for success, and I think we've found a manager who understands that and has built a team that's capable of handling the demands that the fans put on them, because it can't be easy. The start of the season could not have been easy for that squad and for the manager when he was still trying to kind of settle in to a role and settle into a new country, a new style of living and all those things. But here we are, 9-10 months later, and what a difference, and it's just due to that work that he's done. I don't think he's the type of guy that will get carried away. Like I said just at the start, the mentality in the team is very much a focus, a really, really sharp focus on what's still to come, and everything's got to be concentrating in the game. We've got the benefit. I know it was said prior to the semi-final about Rangers distraction with Braga and all that, and I think it's slightly different this time, is that we've got our eye on the prize, and we know that if we win this game, it's very, very tangible. If you win this game, you've won the league. So that's where the focus goes, whereas Rangers can't give the game that focus. They can't give the game that focus because of what they've got to come. So I do think, in the context of Sunday's game, that we do have things in our favour, just as well as playing the game at Celtic Park. And I think Ange will just have the players so utterly focused in that it's going to be a good day.
Yeah. I mean, just on that note, James, as Miff said, it's very clear for Celtic what they need to do. And Ange will continue to take it game by game. But just looking at it, factually, 4 games to go, 6-point lead, 19 goal lead. Is it all over if we win on Sunday?
%, yeah.
It's not mathematical over, that's what I'm saying.
Maths are for statisticians and stuff. It's just...
You done stats at uni, no?
I did.
Right, so I'm asking you.
1 year. Didn't like it. What we're going to lose, 9 goals in the last 3 games, not win any of those games, not pick up any points in any of those games.
It would seem unlikely.
Yeah. So I'll be celebrating Sunday as a title win, and I'll also be celebrating the week after as a title win. So I'll enjoy both.
Yeah. Do you feel if... So that, I can't remember who, maybe San Fran Celtic, who follows us on Twitter, good guy. He was saying, if we win on Sunday, it's all over. If we draw on Sunday, it's all over. And even if we get beaten Sunday, it's still all over. What's your take on that?
Well, that's a very positive take. Me being the wee... Am I allowed to swear?
No.
Okay. Me being somebody who naturally errs on the side of... So I need to swear now. Side of caution. No, I wouldn't say that. Winning, it's over. That's all I'll be focusing on. Look, it's going to take a collapse of epic proportions for it not to be. All I would say is that Rangers' eyes are elsewhere. In my opinion, I think it was a complete aside, the fact that they won that game at Fir Park, probably more a reflection of how poor Motherwell were rather than how excellent Rangers were. Yeah. But that's just got to sound better when I don't mean it like that. I think Rangers picked a team that, suggested that their eyes were on Thursday, and that they're well within the rest of that's fair play. But we have our eyes on our particular prize, and I listen, just need to win it. Yeah, we just need to win it. Win it, and then we can celebrate.
The draw and loss chat, that does keep it open, and it's more just out of sheer impatience. I want the win on Sunday. Just let us have this and enjoy it, because it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. What do you think the narrative from some element of the Rangers fans who are doing a bit of the I didn't want your league anyway. It's whatever, we've got bigger fish to fry.
The league is the league is the league. In every single football division in the world, the league is the league, and that's it. And they know it, we know it.
That's what I would say if I wasn't going to win the league.
Exactly.
But would you expect to be believed?
No, absolutely not. Just sound like sour grapes.
Yeah. Somebody was asking, there was a debate on Twitter about, so Bayern Munich have won their 10th title in a row, and somebody of a Bayern persuasion was saying, people say, do you ever get fed up winning league titles? The answer is, and will always be, absolutely not. You win your league, it's your bread and butter, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Someone was mentioning that during the week or over the weekend about, maybe it was like a Southampton fan or something saying, do you know, get sick of winning? It's like, do you not get sick of never winning anything?
Yeah. That's all. Moving on to one of the pressing questions, Miff, you try to jump the gun, but Kyogo v Giakoumakis in terms of a starting slot. So you've got an interesting theory, and you think he'll go with both?
Absolute crackpot theory that I've made up myself. But
this evening?
Breaking theories?
Yep.
So on what basis? No basis? Just you being you?
On the basis of who's available.
Well, I'll tell you who's available.
And also Maeda. Jota know exactly. Spark on against Rangers. A couple of times he's played against.
I don't think there's any chance that he'll drop Jota. Any chance at all. In fact, I'm almost certain right now it's going to be Maeda, Kyogo and Jota. I cannot see past that at all.
Maeda, Giakoumakis, Jota.
Based on what? The physicality of the game?
Yeah.
But what about the Kyogo-ness of the game?
He's there, he'll come on after 60 minutes.
I think he showed signs of the sharpness that the company expect of him. I just cannot see past him starting Kyogo. I think he's starting all day long. I really... It's funny that there is a debate, because I actually thought you two would just fall into line and say, that is correct, Kyogo will start, let's all move on. But you've got your own stuff going on, and I credit you for that.
At least mine is believable.
I've got the two of them starting, so whatever you want.
I just don't see that, I really don't. And I think Giakoumakis played really well in the couple of games against him, and obviously it was disappointing that he didn't feature last time out there through injury. But I think he himself, just the way it's going, he may have lost a bit of his own sharpness. Kyogo's shown,
it was sharp.
What did he get, 60 minutes? I'll be amazed if Kyogo doesn't start.
Yeah. I thought yesterday was just one point in yesterday's game was disappointing to see Maeda go off at the same time as Giakoumakis came on, because I think that's his link-up guy.
Yes.
So that's what I want to see on Sunday. That's why I want to see Giakoumakis. Don't get me wrong, such a Kyogo fan, and I think Sunday will bring him right back to where he left off in terms of form. But this is the whole thing. Don't worry about picking one, you'll get both.
Can't believe you're dropping Kyogo for
not
that
get
game,
both the way John thinks. You'll get both at different times of the game.
If Kyogo doesn't start, I'll let you host the show next time out. We'll see how that goes.
Is that a prize?
I don't think we want that.
That would be fun. In terms of the stats, so league-wise on its own, Giakoumakis played 16 league games, scored 9 goals, and Kyogo played, I think, 15 and also got 9. So they're neck and neck in terms of the league stuff. Overall, though, Kyogo's got a bit of the edge. He's got 17 goals and 5 assists. Giakoumakis 13 goals and 1 assist. They've both played a huge part, but just they're very different type of players, aren't they? It really depends what Ange sees. The reason I think he will start Kyogo is because, generally speaking, Ange doesn't like to be dictated to by the other team. So if we go Giakoumakis and go physical, it's Ange's way of saying we can't handle that side of the game. I think he'd rather outskill a team and play his own way. And I just think we can play in a not far more expansive, but definitely a more expansive way when Kyogo takes to the field.
Yeah, but we've been shown that they're going to play a physical game against us that we didn't handle. Hampden, albeit ably assisted by Mr. Madden, but we didn't handle that physicality. And with Giakoumakis, I don't think that would have happened that way.
We didn't have a number 9 at all at Hampden, that's the problem.
I think my mind goes back to that game in August, which was fairly turgid affair, but Furuhashi, when he went through the middle, caused Rangers all sorts of problems.
Yeah, the first game, yeah.
But harsh to judge him on the game.
No,
Sunday past, he's come on and tried to make an impact, and he wasn't the only one that struggled to do that. But to see just those wee glimpses of the sharpness, there's another week of training, which is a massive thing for somebody that's been out that long. That extra week of training with the team, having had those minutes under his belt, then getting the 60 minutes. I think it's quite an exciting prospect to think a really fit and fresh Furuhashi just making those angled runs in constantly.
I think it's really exciting. The bottom line is we've not seen Kyogo.
Hence why I would play him with Giakoumakis.
Giakoumakis to the middle.
No, I'm just saying it might happen. It
won't happen. We've not seen Kyogo start as a number 9 against Rangers. That's the bottom line. He started left wing in August. He came off the bench, last weekend there. We have not seen him start the number 9. And I think it's an absolute stick on that he'll start on Saturday and Sunday, and I think he'll tear them apart. I just think Celtic at Celtic Park, I think there is 700 Rangers fans in attendance. I just think it's all set, and I can't allow it to be held back for next season till we see Kyogo start against them.
I get that.
Sunday's the time, and he'll prove that he's the right man for the job.
I suppose this is the beauty of what Ange's put together. I'm more than happy with whichever one of them starts.
I'm not going to rip up the season book if he starts Giakoumakis. Ange out and all that kind of stuff, but nice problems to have and other such cliches. In terms of just the overall approach, then we have touched on the fact that it might get quite physical. There was such a clamour for Beaton to start against Ross County the weekend. I didn't think he would start, and he didn't. And I think Ange's quoted as saying there's a small issue there. I presume he means fitness wise, and there's maybe a reason why he's missed the last two squads. Out with the Giakoumakis and Kyogo debate, we know Ralston will play right back by default instead of Juranovic. Is there anything else Ange can do to make it more physical or robust, or is there
McCarthy?
I don't think he's going to start, was he?
I'm just.
But
if that's what you're after.
Depends on the level of his fitness. If McCarthy's fit and is doing 90-minute training sessions, there's no reason why not. He's an experienced guy, knows how this game should be played, could let McGregor go forward.
You'd be surprised by it though, because I think by and large this team, there's kind of 9 positions are picking themselves for me. So your back 4 and your goalie set in stone, and that's locked in. I think you've got McGregor in the 6.
It's Hatate's the question really, because
I don't think it is, because Ange just plays him anyway. There was all this noise last week. Hatate came out in the media in Japan. I'm tired. Ange went, no, you're not.
70 minutes.
You're not tired. You're just at it. And even when it came to the game against Ross County, we made a triple sub around about an hour in, and Hatate must have thought, that's my day, lads. And he still stayed on another 10 minutes. Ange played him. It's McGregor, Hatate, and the question mark is who the other is, whether it's O'Reilly or Rogic. And then you've got the debate up top who the 3 is. It's not a debate. It's Maeda, it's Kyogo, it's Jota. But I just think there's very little change, and I do think that's just Ange. He's not going to, fall foul of what they done last week and say we'll need to change the plan. He said that, it's no lack of momentum, it's no knee-jerk reaction. We don't change what we do. We just continue to do what we've done all season long and continue to do the stuff that's brought us all this success.
Yeah, and that's why he does what he does, and that's why he's been successful at doing what he does. The interesting thing for me around the whole midfield thing, Hatate for me is just one of those guys that he looks absolutely sublime at times, and I thought he did in the first half. Yes, I thought in a tight park he always seemed to be finding that space, but you could see second half he was starting to gas, and just the things that he was doing with great ease in the first half suddenly seemed to become a really, really big issue. There was one first time pass he fired into somebody's chest, the other one he's tried to play a pass that was never on, ended up losing the ball, and I'm maybe being a bit harsh there. Those are the 2 examples that stick out in my head. But he just seemed to drop off, and it was a very, very obvious visual for the fan sitting at home that he's gubbed. Just take him off, just rest him. You've got guys on the bench, just switch it up. I still think there's that wee thing with me, as well as McGregor's playing. I just think, especially against Rangers, you just get him that wee bit further forward. I think he's the man to just.
Yeah, but he played against him a lot. Further forward.
I just
I think that could be.
There's a wee glimmer in that for me, especially with potentially Furuhashi playing up front. I think McGregor's the man to kind of unlock.
I think it could be something that Ange looks at in the summer. He may sign a 6. Now, maybe Gucci is that guy. We just don't know, and maybe he's thought, I can't risk him at this stage in the season. We'll find out. But I think whether it's Gucci or somebody else in that role, that does allow McGregor to move forward, because we've seen some of the great stuff he can offer. Something he's not offering right now is decent shooting, mind you. Some of his shots are way over the bar. There was quite a bit of that going on actually at Ross County. There's nothing negative to find in the Ross County game as such, but some of the shooting from distance, so I have found it. Couple for McGregor, the one I mentioned about Taylor. Turnbull had a couple of kind of woeful efforts as well.
On that.
So, don't know, maybe they need to do a wee bit more work on that in the training field. But yeah, moving forward, I think it'll be interesting if he brings in a 6 to allow McGregor that freedom. Going back to the Rangers game specifically, what would be your areas of concern, James, about Rangers themselves? So they'll have no Roof, injured, no Ramsey, of course he's injured. We know Morelos is out. I don't know if Balogun misses it after his red card at Motherwell.
Depends on appeal.
But that takes out a fair bit of their physicality as well, and you'll be left with Sakala up top, who is no very good, to be polite about it.
No, and somebody's convinced him that he is, and he's no.
Mm-hmm. He's out getting all snippy, and he put out a wee snidey Instagram
about
post after his non-goal against Starfield. Anyway, we'll not get dragged into it, but
I'm completely oblivious to this.
Where would be the concerns? Like, who's the danger man? Like, what do you see as the biggest threat to Celtic on Sunday?
You know, it's just like yesterday. Go out and do our game. As long as we play our game like we did yesterday, like we did 2 weeks before against St Johnstone, that we did in the first half of the Cup semi-final. As long as we run our game, I'd be supremely confident we'll take the 3 points on Sunday and win the league.
Rangers will likely try and approach it in a similar way to they did at Hampden. So this kind of physical approach and John Lundstrom doing what he does.
I think he's a good player.
He's okay.
He's an okay player, aye.
We don't know at this moment in time who the ref's going to be. I think it'll be confirmed on Tuesday. There's a suggestion it might be somebody like John Beaton, who's not had us this season, I don't think, for a Celtic Rangers game. Not sure, but I think generally speaking they certainly don't give it to the same guy twice in a row. So we've obviously had Bobby Madden recently, Wally Collum recently as well,
had a good game,
had a decent game. So whoever it is, it could have a factor in the result in terms of allowing Rangers or not to take this physical approach. You'd be amazed if they'd done anything but that, because it worked to good effect at Hampden. So they'll likely come at Celtic Park and try and lay down a marker in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes and see how it plays out.
Yeah, but this is what we spoke about, just before we came on air. Your guy, Callaghan, whatever it is, for Ross County,
yep.
He came out and absolutely split McGregor in two in terms of like first 2 minutes, just half them in two, and then 2 minutes later he's done the exact same to Tony Ralston.
Mm-hmm.
Got his booking in less than 5 minutes. He could have been off the park in less than 5 minutes, but he's got his booking in less than 5 minutes. We never saw him a game the whole game. We've said all season we don't mind teams coming up against us and being physical. The ref's got to do his job like the ref did yesterday.
That's it. I don't have a problem with Ross Callaghan taking that approach, because he's got a job to do for Ross County. But as soon as he picks up his yellow, he goes, I need to rein it in. The nonsense was that at Hampden, Lundstrom didn't get even one yellow, let alone two, so he could continue that the whole game. That's why I think it is important. Again, I don't want to kind of dwell on who the ref might or might not be and make that out to be the focal point of the game, but it could have a bearing.
Well, I think it sets the tone. Just if Rangers are going to come and play that type of game where they are going to be physical, which again, like we've said, teams well within their reach to do, it then falls. It's the responsibility of the ref to say where the line is in terms of what they get away with. So that's where it can have the effect in the game, and I think that's where it probably the balance kind of tipped over a wee bit in Rangers' favour, for the point of view that they saw fairly early on, or they certainly picked up for the referee that there was a leniency there to the physical rough stuff, and they really imparted that on us to break up the play. Specifically, I thought for us the crucial thing was Bassi on Rogic, and how close he was getting to him, how ridiculously close he was getting to him, for the point of view that I think a couple of times Phil's actually given against Rogic once. Rogic just rolled him, just things like that where individual incidents, they're not that big a deal. It's just like, oh, it's a break up and play, oh, that's our foul, no, it's their foul, oh no, that's another one he's done. Oh, but actually when you look back on it, in terms of the way a game develops and the pattern of play and where Celtic were getting success against them at Ibrox, those areas, as niggly as it might appear, the fact that it doesn't get dealt with effectively early on means that just then sets a tone that spreads through the whole team, and then whether it's the fullback or the centre half trying to fire that wee ball into Rogic in half turn, knowing that he's not getting any joy, the ball goes long, that plays into Rangers' hands, and the whole pattern of the game just completely changes. I can't see that necessarily being the case at Celtic Park, given that there will be a very vociferous crowd there on the referee's back should he decide that he's got to let Rangers players get 5 kicks each at a Celtic player before they get booked. So I would imagine it will be refereed very differently. However, I go back to the point that we've actually made several times on here today. The most important thing about this Celtic team is this Celtic team having the belief that they're just going to play the way that they've been asked to play. They understand that. They've got belief in their manager, they've got belief in each other, and they've got belief that that brings results. I don't see any reason why Sunday would be any different.
Yeah, I think that's valid. I think to your point as well, James, the biggest obstacle on Sunday is Celtic themselves. If we turn up in the way that we know we can do, it should result in a home win. Muff, was James telling you the tinfoil hat on last week? He watched the game back and he's noting all this. Madden does this 42nd minute, no, right through the game.
Any notes on his beard? Any notes on Madden's beard?
Strange colour. Apparently he's a ginger man.
Was he?
All things said and done. All things said and done. What's your scoreline prediction, James?
3-1 Celtic.
Go on.
Draw.
Oh, Math.
I'm joking.
Have you not learned?
1-0 Celtic.
1-0. Bit nervy.
Last minute winner. Taps half.
I'll take that all day long. I've gone 3-1 as well, James. That's just my feeling on it. I think we'll go out, we'll be confident. I think we'll pick up a few goals, may concede one at the other side, depending. The aforementioned Sakala, what a player. But we'll see.
So where's the digs at him coming from?
He's been a wee bit snidey on Instagram talking about Celtic players being flat on their feet after he scored his wonder goal to win it last week, and the guy's just not a player at all for me. So, but he'll get found out on Sunday. We'll see how that all comes to fruition. If, and it is still an if, at this moment, James, Celtic do go on to win the league, you might have seen something fun by Cav3128 on Twitter. He said that Rangers will just cover up the league table with a wee bit of tape at the top, as if it never happened. So, if anyone's not sure, this is in reference to Gio Van Bronckhorst's post-match interview against Motherwell, where Rangers had the brass neck to tape over the Cinch sponsor on the backdrop. So, don't really know where to go with that. It's pretty laughable stuff, but it seems to be allowed to continue.
If anyone in your squad and your match day preparation is thinking about that, they're not thinking about what they should be thinking about, and that's all the better for us.
Would you think Sakala's out with the tape? Do you think it's him that does that?
No, but just even the fact that someone is not focused just on winning the game.
Yeah,
you know,
strange stuff. Just before we finish, can I usually catch a wee bit of kind of AOB stuff? The one kind of bit unused, kind of non-Celtic, but of interest is Roy Keane been heavily linked with the Hibs job. Would you be into that, Miff?
Yes. In a word, Jess, I'm a huge Roy Keane fan.
Yeah, it'd be for interesting times, wouldn't it, James?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of it's paper talk. I don't know if it would happen. I think it would be box office for Scottish football in terms of, I mean, a guy who's going to come up and say a lot of truths that need to be said in Scottish football. You know, he's the guy to say them. Yeah,
there was a couple of links in terms of guys like Bruni and John Kennedy, even with the Hibs job.
I think they can't gamble.
I don't think they can get down that rookie road at this moment in time, can they?
Keane's potentially a gamble as well, to be fair.
He's 1,000,000% a gamble, but it'd be a fun gamble all the same.
If you're only got to give a manager 4 months and a transfer window that they've been appointed 3 days before, then every appointment's got to be a gamble.
Yeah. I thought it's not the time for it, but you seen Ron Gordon speaking last week about the Maloney sacking, and it's just, it reeks of non-footballing guys making football decisions, and that will never sit well. So I think it, you know, whether it's Keane or somebody else, people will be a wee bit wary of taking the Hibs job, you know, once they catch that kind of chat.
You might be thinking, I'll sign Keane, doesn't matter as long as we stay up and I sell season tickets.
Well, they'll certainly stay up, but it's what they look to do moving forward and how ambitious.
But you might not be thinking about it. You might be thinking commercially that will get me the season tickets in.
We'll see. Miff, so it's been a long old season, still 4 games to go yet out of the 38 game campaign, but how are you feeling about it all just now?
How am I feeling? I would say that the word that James used is a very accurate one. I'm impatient. I just want it done.
Yeah.
End of. That's how I'm feeling.
James, do we need to be careful about getting ahead of ourselves ahead of Sunday, or, you know?
Yeah, we've all been watching football a long time, you know. There's nothing done till it's done. Yesterday was a real settler for me. You know, that was really important to get those 3 points and settle things down. So yeah, it's moved from confident, nervous yesterday to confident and patient now. So there's work to be done, but we've got guys to do it.
Yeah, a huge win at Ross County, and we can all now look forward to Sunday. So mathematically, Celtic are now just 2 wins away from winning the Scottish Premiership title, an achievement which many would have thought impossible after half a dozen games of the season. As he always does though, Ange will be taking it one game at a time as he looks to bring the title back to Celtic Park at the first time of asking. Let's see what Sunday brings. Thanks to Miff and James for joining me today, and thanks to you for your continuing support of the Celtic Exchange. If you're enjoying the show and want to help us spread the word, please do so by sharing this episode far and wide with your Celtic supporting network. It really goes a long way to helping us do what we do. But in the meantime, and as always, thanks for tuning in.